Hello, team. I'm gonna go over the way I answered the questions that we had posed at the library when we met. So, first of all, I'm gonna show you our the full data set from Excel. Uh, when I got home, I checked the file again, and it only contained information from one state. So I downloaded the file again, and it turned out to have 76,000 plus lines, which sounds like a lot of information, but not really if I show you the approach I took and to answer the questions. So it doesn't matter if there's 76,000 lines or a million lines. Um, so I altered the file a little bit. I added a column to identify the quarter, what each month belonged to. So month 1 belongs to quarter 1, month 2 and 3 belong to quarter 1, etc. The way I did that is I did an if statement that checked uh, what month uh, fell into. So if month 4 was on the left column, yeah, we would get quarter 2 on the quarter column. I also added 3 more columns at the end, which are total exports, which is the addition of all the exports in the previous columns, total the modes, and total imports, which is the same thing. And then added 2 more columns to simplify our queries, which is imports from Canada to the United States and the imports from Mexico. The way I did this is I did a formula where it checked the country code, and depending on the country code, it would populate the total import. If it was a import from Canada, which is 1220, it would copy the information from the imports column. If it was Mexico, then it would have copied the information, but since each line represents a different country, uh, it would only populate one of the 2 lines, one of the 2 cells. So for example, in here you'll see that this will be country 2010, which is Mexico, and there's no information for Canada. All right, let's get out of here. Let's open a new workbook. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new data connection to the CSV file that we downloaded from the website. So we're going to data, from other sources, from Microsoft Query. We're going to create a new data source. We're going to call this data mining 2, since I had already created a data mining connection previously, but something went wrong with the video. In here, you're going to select the driver to connect to a CSV text file. So be careful, don't connect to a Microsoft Access Text driver. You're going to connect to a Microsoft Text driver with an extension of text or CSV, which is what the website was returning. We're going to connect, uncheck this, and you're going to let Excel know where this file is. So this is in the downloads folder. Now you're going to be able to see here the file, the text and CSV files from that folder, and here's a full data file. So let's select OK, hit OK on this drop down, which identifies all the text and CSV files from that folder. We're going to select the full data.csv, which is the file we downloaded. Hit OK. So now you have a new database or data connection from Excel called Data Mining 2. That's going to connect to that file, that data set. Close out this. Yes. So now that we have a connection from Excel into that file, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you close Excel. That connection is always going to be there. Let's open a new. So let's go into data, go into existing connections, data mining 2, select full data CSV, and then you're going to hit properties, definitions, and if you look at this is an Excel, MySQL, a SQL query that pulls all the data from the file. So this star means all. So this is saying select all data from full data CSV. We don't want all of the data, so we're going to edit that query. So we're going to go into SQL, empty out the SQL statement, and I'm going to send you this file. This file has the 5 queries that answer our 5 questions. The query is a question. It's a data mining question that goes into a data set and pulls a specific data that you ask for. And that could include sums, subsums, whole, almost infinite. Almost every logical question could be answered with an SQL query. So this is the question 1, top 10 commodities from each country to each state and more. So we're going to copy that. We're going to enter it into the SQL statements, paste it. So this is an exact translation of the question we asked. Hit OK. OK. And we should see the top 10 commodities and values of the top 10 commodities for every state populated. So these are the top 10 values in descending order. These are all the states. This is California. These are the top 10 commodities. And this is coming from Canada. And then the section at the bottom shows everything imported from Mexico. Now, if you want to take this into the Excel file, just go to File and Return Data to Microsoft Office Excel. Hit OK. Select Yes. And you're going to see 3 options here: Table, Pivot Table Reports, Pivot Chart, and Pivot Table Reports. I selected Table because the query already asked a specific question is going to return a specific answer. So there's no need to do a fancy pivot table that it's only going to look pretty. And I'm not a fan of pivot tables for various reasons, and I'll go into that some other time. Okay. And you're going to see that data set populating in here. There it is. There's the answer. Now, let's do the same thing with a simpler query. Remember, you don't have to create a new data connection. The data connection is already existing. We already created it. Full data mining 2. We're going to open that again. Select the same data set, full data CSV. Hit OK. Go to properties, definitions. We're going to edit the query. And in this file, I'll be sending to you guys. You'll have all the queries, all the questions in the form of a query. And don't panic. You don't need to know this. And in the real world, there's people that will know this, and you can ask them these questions, and they'll create them for you. And the main reason why I took this approach and I wanted to do it in this way, you paste everything in here. So I hit OK. So let me go back to that. The reason why I took this approach is because I wanted to show you guys that there are other tools, and Excel is a powerful tool, but there are more powerful tools, and there'll be separate SQL engines, and usually in the real world, you'll find that data sets are not 100 lines long or 1,000 lines. There could be 1 million lines and tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and these queries that I'm using will return these types of answers no matter how big this data set is. What matters is the architecture of the data set. I know that in the approach that Chen was taking in class, he wanted us to copy a lot of the initial columns and pretty much duplicate the number of lines on the table. And if you look at our table, we have 76,000 plus lines, and if you started doing this, we would have ended up with hundreds of thousands of lines. Instead of that, we added 5 more columns, and if you take the size of the matrix in there, you save a lot more memory than if you take Chen's approach. I understand that Chen took that approach because it makes the pivot tables look nicer and interact, and it's a way to fake two-dimensional data into looking pretty in Excel, but it's not the best approach. If you want to really use data like that and you submit data that way, it's going to be used for in a system. It's a lot of work for the IT. You know, it actually turns out to be ugly-looking data. We hate it. So go to File, return data to Microsoft Excel. Okay. Yes. Okay. And question 2 should populate here. This is your data set for question 2. Easy. So let's do that again for question 5 really quick. So open a new one. For the data, existing connections, data mining 2, data CSV, okay, properties, definitions, edit your query, SQL, delete everything in here. Go to the query that I had written already. Question 5 is a very short query, very simple one. For that, hit OK. There's the information. Question 5. So you have everything in a chronological order per year, by state, total imports, and all your imports from Canada to the United States and Mexico to the United States. File, return data to Microsoft Excel. Okay. Yes. Then on that question, I believe that all I did was I had a formula over here to select which one had imported the most. I think that was the question. So it would have been something like if this value was greater than this one, then the answer would be Canada. And if not, the answer would be Mexico. This is probably not going to work because of the way I have the data set. Remember that? Grab this data because it's still linked. So what I did is that I copied and pasted as values, but it's not linked to the database anymore. So let's do that again. But if this was greater than this, then the true value would be Canada, but if not, then the biggest import would be coming from Mexico. It'll tell you who's the biggest importer during that year to that state. That's it. That's all I did. Thank you. Sorry I couldn't be there. You can call me or whatever, email me, text message me. Try to be available morning. Have a good night. Bye.